All right, welcome to the first lick. This is the first lick lesson in my artist series stuff. I'm so excited about this, and I'm so excited you're here to work on this stuff with me. And this first one, this is going to be two of my I use these licks so much, it frustrates me. I get tired of them, and then I'll be playing a gig or playing whatever, and I'll whip them out again. I'm like, dang it, it does feel pretty cool. It's like, I would say probably my two most used things. The first part of it's kind of a bluesy thing, like a bluesy rock and roll thing, and then the second part of it is really like me borrowing from Brent Mason because I think he's awesome. But yeah, and then using a little bit of advanced language or whatever. Hope you're familiar with Nashville number system. This is how one way to get from a 5 chord to a 1 chord, or in this case, we're in the key of D here. We're going to be in the key of D, and we're getting it from a 5 chord, which is A, to the D, right? And then, so if the band's playing that, what would you play over top of that? And this is just a suggestion. It's like, this is where I would start with some stuff, and then I may run with it later, and I'll show you some ideas on how to do that. Let's hear the lick. We've talked enough, right? Right, see, we're in kind of two different halves. Like what I'm playing over the A chord, which is which I feel like is kind of a little more of a rock and roll sort of thing. A little Chuck Berry in there, a little who knows what, but I feel like I do that bend so much. It just feels so good. And then how do you make that interesting? What if I change the high note? Which to me kind of starts to bring a little bit of some tie-dye, some experimental, it's like, ooh, that's coloring outside of the lines. Right? Then the second half of the lick, I'm really kind of borrowing so much from Brent Mason here. There was I'm sure hopefully you've heard of him. He's an amazing guitar player, but he's got an instrumental album. One of the songs is Hot Wired. If you haven't heard it, it's awesome. It's so fun to play, but he does that lick and then goes off on it. Some version of that. So I learned that a long time ago, and I was like, dude, I'm stealing that, from you. Anyways, so yeah, but we'll start, it's on a pickup. So before the downbeat, I love, surprising people with the rhythm rather than just, which that's cool and everything, but what if it was 1, 2, 3, 4? It just kind of makes your head go like, whoa, you know what I mean? But yeah, I like to surprise people rhythmically too. We'll start here, 12th fret on the high E string, 13th fret on the B string. So it'll be a little pickup. You're gonna bend up the B string a half step and then hit the 12th fret of the high E, hit the 13th fret of the B and bend up again. And this time hit the 15th fret of the high E, bend that B string, 13th fret again. Now it's the 14th fret of the high E, 13th fret of the B, bend again. Now back to the 12th fret of the high E. I'm gonna hit the 15th fret of the B and bend it up a whole step. Right? And then another quick little pickup. Gonna do a little slide here. I'm saying 11th fret to the 14th. It's kind of like whatever, just a little something. Sometimes I may start lower, but basically something like that. 11 to 14 or somewhere below up to the 14th fret of the G string. And then I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna use my pinky on the 17th fret of the high E and just work my way down. So I'm going 17, 16, 15, and now my first finger here, I'm gonna grab the 13th fret of the high E, right? 13th fret, I'm gonna slide up one, and then get onto your ring finger here, the 15th fret of the B, 14th fret of the G after that, and then 13th fret of the B now, slide down one fret. To the 12th, now back to the G string, we're gonna go 14, 13, 12. 14, 13, 12, sorry. And then 10th fret of the G, hammer onto the 11th. and then 12th fret of the D, lots of numbers. 10th fret of the high E now. 13th fret of the B, bend it up a whole step. Or you can slide up. It's kind of the same thing. Or I kind of like the bend. Okay, so again, let's do that slowly together, okay? Now that we know what's going on here, I'll count us off. So it'll be on the and of 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know sometimes, like when I do these bends, it's like I grab the other string on accident, and some people go like, "Ooh, that was a mistake." But to me, if I accidentally do that, I'm kind of like, that's just like a little extra butter in the pan. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when somebody says like, "Oh, you need a haircut," and you're like, "I think it looks perfect." To me, that's sort of how those notes feel. It's just beautiful. All right. Now that we got all that together, I want to give you a little insight on now how I would use that in different keys, or you know, just how to use it around the first piece. Let's say we're not worried about the whole 5 to 1, you know, getting from the A chord to the D chord. How can we use that in other places too? So let's just say we're in the key of A. That's kind of how this is working. And what I'm thinking is a chord shape. So if you're thinking, here's my A chord, what if we move, you know, we're thinking open is also 12, so that's my A chord, right? I'm seeing that A chord there, which is 12th fret of the A, 14th of the D, G, B, and also have that note. And I guess you could also say like a mixolydian, maybe a little blue note in there, because I'm going. That's really where, when I'm picturing where am I going to do this lick, I think the chord shape. That's where I'm at. So this finger is always going to, if I'm going to do that note, that's my root of the chord I'm playing around. So let's say I was wanting to do this in the key of C. There's my C chord, right? Those are my roots. I can now play this lick in that key. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And that would be if I were going from doing the same kind of lick. But anyways, yeah, let's say I wanted to do it in the key of E. There's my E chord, so I'm picturing, there's my root. Right? Okay, so that's the first half. That's kind of how I apply that. You find your root, and so I picture my chord, and then here we go. And I can kind of go, you know, from there to other places. And now I'm shifting it. If I were, you can almost start using that. Now I'm saying putting up an A chord. It would sound great. Yeah. Let's talk about the second half where I'm going. The second half of the lick, right? We're back to the lick. Now, the way I find that, I'm picturing, again, chord shapes. So I'm in the key of D, in the lick. We're back in the key of D, right? So that works up here, you know, just think 12 frets up. The nut is 0. Now shifted up, it's 12, so there's my D chord, right? It's the same note, just up an octave. So the way I would find that, so there's my root when you're playing a D chord. There's my D, so it's also up here. It's an octave up. That's how I know where I'm going to be doing this lick. So up 2 frets and down on the high E string. See what I mean? If there's my root on the B string, 15th fret, up 2 frets, down 1 string. And I just work my way down. Even that little piece is pretty cool. You can just use that little piece, or you can keep going. You can do so much just from starting there. Or let's say it's in the middle of something. You can just put it in there. It's really not that crazy. it sort of fits your fingers pretty well. And you can add it in. It's kind of one of those things, like, it's not that hard to do, and it makes you sound like you know how to play guitar. So the more I can do that, the better. But yeah, let's say now, just transposing it some, I want to put it in the key of G. Here's where the G triad would be. Remember, our ring finger is where if we're playing a D chord shape, the ring finger is the root, right? So those are G notes. Go up here. There's my root. So remember, it's up 2 frets, down 1 string. So I can kind of fit it in wherever, just to... You know what I mean? You sort of just, it's like salt and pepper. Yeah, put a little bit right there. There it goes. That's why I like these licks so much, is because you can just toss them in. You need a little flair. There it is. All right. So now we've kind of worked through all this stuff. Let's try this to tempo. And if you want to work on this stuff with the band slower, I wanted to give you all a little extra on this. So when you're doing the jam along, it'll go, the first half of the jam along will be to tempo. And then the second half of the jam along counts you in again at a slower tempo. So you could, if you want to work on it at a slower tempo, go about halfway in the jam along video, and you'll have a slower tempo there. I think that'll help out a lot. 1, 2, 3.